Hi everyone, Dr. Victoria Scorpio here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. Today is October 29th, 2019, and it's Tuesday. 2 days ago, Sunday night, we had a new moon in Scorpio. That new moon was almost exactly opposite Uranus. Scorpio as an archetype is one of transformation. It's one of coming up against forces greater than self. It is a sign where the ego is required to surrender to the soul, and so it's pretty intense. If any of you Scorpios out there know, if you have prominent Scorpio or prominent Pluto in your chart. This is a time here, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, where most of the leaves have fallen off the trees. And we start to, the energy of the tree starts to move within. Instead of sort of being out there and growing out and reaching out to the sky, now everything starts to get closer and closer, a sort of a bare bones sensibility, and eventually all the energy goes into the roots of the tree as we approach winter. And so for us as well, this is an opportunity for us to sort of come back into ourselves. And in November, Mercury will be going actually Mercury goes retrograde at the end of October and will be retrograde for most of November. And when it's not retrograde, it will still be in the shadow of Mercury retrograde. And the whole time Mercury's retrograde, it is in Scorpio. And Scorpio is a very psychologically oriented sign. So what I thought I would do is do a reading for the new moon in Scorpio, see what comes up. Just in general for all of us, not specifically for, say, America where I happen to live. But let's see what comes up with this Scorpio new moon. What else was going on with the Scorpio new moon? There was a couple of other really intense things. I believe Jupiter was conjunct Ceres in Sagittarius. When I saw that, I had a feeling that the wildfires were going to get worse. So for all of those who are in harm's way, let's put a bubble of protection around them, and anything you can do to help ease their suffering is greatly appreciated, of course, even if it's just keeping them in your mind's eye and surrounding them with love and support. Okay, so let's see what's going to come up, and I'll do a Celtic cross like I generally do for these readings. Okay, I'm almost done. I'm going to be using the Wild Unknown Tarot. I think it's perfect tarot for Scorpio, because Scorpio is wild and often unknown, but we do become aware of stuff with all this Scorpio energy. Okay, just cutting the cards now. Okay, let's see what comes up. So the immediate environment for the Scorpio new moon is the Chariot. Okay, the Chariot is in this deck. We have a horse, symbolic of the Chariot. Of course, the horse is symbolic of power. In animal, sort of like animal totems, a horse is power. And this is really about the Chariot as a vibration and as a card is where the soul is clothed in the personality and incarnates into the life. This card is associated with the sign of Cancer. Esoterically, Cancer is the way into incarnation. Everybody comes into incarnation through the symbology of Cancer, the mother, right? And so we are on our soul's journey here. Things are moving very quickly, so things are going to, even though Mercury is retrograde, things are moving very quickly. Now let's see what's crossing this. Okay, and so we have, we have the eight of, this is eight. This is the Seven of Cups, and the Seven of Cups is confusion. In this deck, it's the world is upside down. The sun is below the earth. The moon is up high. This is that the card of obfuscation, of things not being clear. And so there is this sort of forging ahead of the energy of the soul, and yet the direction that we're going is things are unclear. It's going to be hard to see actually where we're going. Let's see what's at the root of this. Okay, we have the Father of Pentacles here, or the King of Pentacles. And the King of Pentacles is a earthly card. It is about being in a good relationship with the earth and the earth's resources. It can also be about utilizing the earth's resources for your own enrichment. And so that could also be a theme that we see coming up at this time. Of course, respect for the earth is going to be the best way to utilize this energy. Having a good relationship with the earth, and then having a good relationship with your resources. The Pentacles in the cards is the winter season, and so it requires planning. It requires us to, put something aside for leaner days, and I think that's something that we can find ourselves doing in November. Let's see what's in the past. Okay, we have the Empress card here. This to me is the glory of the summer. We can see in this card, we have this beautiful tree, and there's all this red around the tree. Red is usually symbolic of life force. And so we have all this life force, like sort of out on the edges. And of course, that's the past. Let's see what's in the sky. Okay, we have some indecision and inability to take an action. It's very interesting that the first card is all about like being on this sort of like stampede almost, but up in the sky we have an inability to take an action, and so I don't really think there's this sense of this month as we're along for the ride. We're along for the ride. There isn't much that we can do. It's almost like we have to sit and witness it. Okay, let's see what's in the immediate future. And the immediate future is generally the energy of the month, because when I read this card, the immediate future is like the next 6 weeks, and the month is about 5 weeks long. So this is the energy for the month, and we have the Four of Swords here. And here we have this little lamb here with its third eye bright, with the sun in its third eye, and we have these swords. So this is another indication of not taking action. This is a natural time of being internal, moving, sort of getting out of the fray of things, and bringing your energy in. This is about resting the mind. And in this case, it's resting the mind and stimulating the intuition. So swords is the mental part, and we can drive ourselves crazy for these mental gymnastics. They said this, this is that, this is that, and unless you're actually doing the work, say you happen to be Adam Schiff, if he's doing the work that he needs to do right now, but the rest of us, while, depending on your point of view, you're either going to like support his work or rail against it. It's almost like it doesn't matter. We have to calm our minds. We need to find some peace of mind over this next month. Let's see how this is seen from the outside. Okay, and we get the Three of Wands here. This is actually quite a lovely card. When I see the Three of Wands in this deck, it reminds me of a glimpse into what could be. a glimpse into what could be. Um, yeah. Okay. Let's see the domestic situation. Our domestic situation. Okay, we have the Five of Swords here. Um, this is cruelty. This is mental cruelty. This is um, unfair tactics. We have here. It's interesting because the symbology here, we have these swords and then we have earthworms. And I don't know if you did this when you were a kid or you learned this in science class. But earthworms, if you cut them, they can regenerate, right? As long as you don't cut to a certain point. So there's this sense of regeneration, sort of healing from all of this very nasty energy that's out there. Very nasty energy that's out there. You don't want to bring that energy into your home. You don't want to bring that into your domestic situation. You want to do your best. Um, Perhaps, with these earthworms, maybe it's time to crawl into your hole, quite frankly, and get away from the danger. That's what it feels like to me. Okay, let's see hopes and fears. Judgment. So hopefully people will wake up to the light of a situation. Outcome. Okay, we have the Two of Cups, which is about relationship. It's about love. It's about coming together and agreeing. It's about dialogue. It's like a beautiful card. And so um, this energy of sort of pulling in and avoiding conflict. The outcome to that is one of actually coming to a point where we're less divided. We're more likely to, you know, um, have a cup of tea or have a drink with a friend. I mean, it's really about um, it's really about remembering the emotional connections that keep us. That it's a love, reminding us to love each other, folks. Let's see if we can pull a major arcana. We get the Ten of Swords, one of the creepiest cards in this deck. The Ace of Swords, so that's sort of an ending and then a new beginning. I'm sorry, the Nine of Swords, the Ace of Swords, the Ten of Swords. So there's a lot of very negative energy out there this month. And underneath it all is the Daughter of Wands. This is the Page of Wands. And so we need to keep our ears open for messages that come. And the messages, the wands are fire, and so it's intuitive messaging. And so what these cards say to me is that we are on our way. The soul is leading the way. We need to concentrate on stabilizing ourselves when it comes to food, shelter, stuff like that. Stabilizing, making sure we have enough, not overdoing anything, sort of like meeting things out so that it will last. Um, but there is this definite energy of closing down the mind, opening up the intuition, and imagining a better world. That's kind of what this card also is about. And then ultimately listening for the messages that will come. So all in all, I feel like this reading is telling us to duck, cover, um, and sort of not to get sort of pulled into um, these arguments or these mental gymnastics. Um, the folks that throw all these facts at you because you disagree with what they say, or they don't agree with what you say, but we don't even know if those facts are true facts. And the thing is with mental energy is that uh, the mental energy, you can lie to yourself, or you can be lied to. Your intuitive facility, fire; your emotional facility, water; and then the earthly facility of the limitation of matter, so to speak. There's only so much matter, right? Um, is it can't be manipulated in the way that the mind can. So we need to be aware of that. But I think the biggest thing I want to say is that the soul is in charge, folks. We are going in the direction that we are supposed to be going into, even though it may seem like we're on a horse and we don't have any reins, right? We're just like on the back of this sort of horse, and we're like, trying to hold on for dear life. But the horse knows the way to go, because the horse or the chariot is the soul. Even in the Rider-Waite deck, if you notice, um, the charioteer doesn't hold reins. He doesn't have reins in his hand, because the soul is leading the way. And of course, in true Scorpio um, fashion, it's about surrendering to the soul. Have yourself a great new moon lunation cycle. Um, all kinds of illuminations, all kinds of things are going to be uncovered. The sun in Scorpio brings light to the darkness. Um, Hunker down and utilize your intuitive facilities if you have to make any decisions. Your mind is not your friend this month. Have yourself a great month. Talk to you soon. Bye.